Hello, today I want to ask a question in light of the weekend recently. We had our annual prestigious Best of Scotland's regional, and I wanted to think about it in light of asking a question, and that would be um, does a regional matter, really? Is it important? Um, if someone is to like talk shit to you online or something, they would say like, "Oh, where's your top?" And you'd be like, "Oh, well, I topped this," and they'd be like, "Oh, well, I topped that. Well, I got third place here, and I got second place there, and I went to table 500 here." That's me talking, by the way. So the real question is, what makes a decent credential or a valid credential? I get pretty much the entire discussion. I'd like to center around the term of validity. Uh, what is considered a valid top or credential, etc., etc. If you're going to tell me that a regional isn't a valid credential, I'd like to know why or why not. And if you do think a YCS is a valid credential, I'd like to know why or why not as well. I know a lot of that seems obvious, but let's break this argument down. So first of all, regional doesn't matter because a lot of people who I'm giving the arguments here. A regional doesn't matter because people who go to the regional, number one, a lot of people that go to regionals don't care about the regional. They kind of show up with funny decks or funny variants of their decks, just for a laugh to see if they can do well with it. Number two, a lot of the regionals, one of my favorite quotes that I came up with because I'm so brilliant, is that regional is worlds for scrubs. So, you have like all the scrubs in the local area come together in one big giant mess of being terribad at the game, and they have this big championship once a year. And that's, I think you could call that, worlds for scrubs for a lot of people. I'm not making fun of anyone, by the way. I'm just saying, like, some people do fall into this category. Not everyone, obviously. The third, I guess, I don't know where I was going with this, actually. Never mind. So, yeah, regionals don't matter because of the aforementioned reasons. Now, these are some negative arguments. So, pro arguments, I guess, would be regionals. I mean, it's an organized tournament. It's like any other big tournament that happens once a year. People are going to prepare. People are going to try. And, that should constitute a valid top, a valid credential, because you've took part in a tournament that happens very rarely, only once every so often. So you should be considered, I guess, respectable in Yu-Gi-Oh terms because you topped that regional, maybe? I don't know. And yeah, so other arguments against, I guess I just go to the sort of main argument overall. Regionals don't matter primarily because of numbers. I think that's pretty much what you can consider to be the main argument for why regionals don't matter, and that's numbers. Regionals don't matter because you're topping an event of 50, 60, 70, maybe 100 people. It's not that competitive because there's not that many people there, therefore you're more likely to top. If you're a semi-competent player, you're probably going to get your invite at a regional most years, and you're probably going to like even top it like most years. Like every year you probably will get your invite at your regional if you're a good player. But you might get unlucky for variants and stuff occasionally. But if you don't top, if you're a good player, you probably will be consistently topping your regionals. If you're a really good player, you're probably going to be consistently winning your regionals as well. So, yeah, it's pretty much comes down to numbers. Why are YCS so respectable? Why is winning or topping a YCS so much of a big deal in comparison to a regional? I know this sounds obvious, but it's because of numbers. More people enter a YCS, more better people enter a YCS. People from all over the continent come to the YCS. So, of course, there's going to be a higher caliber of players. But let's look at this the other way. If it's down to numbers, there have been YCSs with very small turnouts, and here in Europe we've had some YCSs as low as like 500-ish people entering. I believe in Oceania they have the same issue with not too many people entering their YCSs. Southern America as well, and of course regionals in certain parts of America. I believe the West Coast actually sometimes top European YCSs. Very rarely, but it does happen. I mean, I'm not too sure on the exact number, but I believe some regionals in America have hit like 3, 4, maybe 500 people entering. So would that be considered a respectable top? I mean, I would think so. Like in a regional that big, like I would totally say that that's a good that's a good top. You know what I mean? Though of course you might disagree. So I guess the main argument would be numbers, and the second argument I want to bring up is status. Now you could have 1,000-man regional, and you could win that 1,000-man regional, and you could win like 100-man YCS. People are still going to respect you more for that YCS than a regional because of status, and that's how I would argue this point. Is because it's a championship series. Like they have this prestige about them. They have this sort of continental expectation behind them. Whereas regionals don't. Regionals is just like, anyone who lives next door to you can show up with their Blackwing deck and be like, ready to go, heart of the cards, etc. You know what I mean? YCSs though, people are less willing to travel to a YCS if they play heart of the card, Blackwing, Exodia. Do you know what I mean? You're probably not going to invest in flights and hotels to play Blackwings at a YCS. Do you know what I mean? So there is that idea of status behind it. And finally, the point that I would argue that obviously YCSs are more important than regionals. I know this is very obvious. Of course YCS are better than regionals, but let's like really break this down. So we have numbers, we have status, and we also have travel, which is the third point I want to mention. There's going to be higher level of caliber of better. There's going to be better players at a YCS. Because people, like I said, are willing to travel to a YCS because it's a once in maybe year event if it's near you. We only get like one YCS in Europe, in the UK. If we're lucky, we didn't get one last year. Generally, we had like YCS London every year, so once a year maybe you go to like, I guess what you could call like a mega nationals almost, with some Italians. So it's basically nationals but with Italians. And yeah, so you're gonna have people from all over the continent coming over to participate in the YCS, so obviously that's going to be better. So clearly, obviously, YCS are more important than regionals. But I guess the main question is like, which of these arguments would allow for a regional to be considered acceptable? What would you consider an acceptable regional top then? Because surely not all regional tops are obsolete. If there is a regional number threshold, I'd like to know what you think that is. How many people need to enter a regional before you would consider acceptable? Number 2, is there certain regionals in the world that are respectable? In Scotland, for example, Glasgow regional is gonna be like, the sort of be-all end-all regional of Scotland because it's the biggest. It's like, it's the biggest regional, of course. People from all over the country come to it. I say all over the country, I mean like an hour away because this country sucks and it's small and there's like 4 of us. And thirdly, people are willing to travel to it. So it's numbers, it's Glasgow, so it's better because it's Glasgow. And then 3, people are willing to travel to it. Whereas people probably don't really care too much about like smaller town regionals like Cardenden, for example. A lot of people here where I live don't go to this certain regional. It tends to get lower turnouts. It always gets lower turnouts, and people just aren't willing to travel to it. So these 3 categories, if you let me know in each category which one you think would constitute a fair regional top. Do you think it's 100 people that attend the regional? Do you think it's 200 people? Is there a certain city that allows for a regional to show up? And number 3, how many sort of foreign entrants, you would call them, would have to come to your regional in order for it to be considered acceptable? So all these points put together, I'd like to know what you would consider those to be reasonable. And on to my final point. I guess sort of the moral kind of overarching argument would be that I would like to present it and say very simply is that I think that a regional is essentially in Yu-Gi-Oh! In general, I think a top or a credential or whatever is what you want to make it. I mean, everyone has their own personal ceilings, and this is sort of applies to everything in life, you know what I mean? Some people are only fit to, like, sweep the streets and clean street corners and stuff like that. And you know, that's sort of their thing in life. You know, that's not like a bad thing or anything. People, you know, are going to be doctors maybe. You know, people have like levels that they aspire to or that they achieve, and really it's down to if you're happy with it. You know, if you're happy doing a certain thing, that's cool. Likewise, if you're happy like winning like a 50-man regional, and you know, you consider that to be like, you know, your be all end all achievement of Yu-Gi-Oh, I guess if that it's up to you. Like, if that's what is fine to you, that's cool. If you wanna like be a back-to-back YCS winner, that's your ceiling that you've set for yourself. And like I said, everyone sets their own personal ceilings. I, for example, personally, I can never see myself winning a YCS. I can never, probably never see myself topping a YCS, to be honest with you. For me, my own personal ceiling is I'd like to win my hometown regional one day, and I would, you know, at my absolute maximum potential, I would love to win my nationals. I like the idea of the hometown kind of thing. I like the idea of, you know, your country and stuff like that. I would like to win my hometown national, and I would like to, you know, at the absolute maximum potential that I have, I would like to win my own nationals. I personally, for myself, I like getting, I think getting the invite is important enough, because, you know, I'm just playing this game to travel and to be with my friends and stuff. So getting my invite and being able to compete with them on the European level, I'm content with that, honestly. Like, that's as far as I'm concerned. But like I said, there's gonna be other people who want to, like, you know, win a YCS because they've missed out, like, you know, they've topped it every single time basically that they've entered the YCS. You know, they've topped multiple YCS, they've just never won it, and you know, they really want to win it, and that's their ceiling. You know, they're gonna win a YCS one day. Some people have won multiple YCSs, and you know, they want to be able to win a YCS back to back or something like that. That's their achievement that they're trying to aim for. So yeah, like I said, it's really just down to what you think subjectively. But like I said, I want to try create the sort of objective understanding of what should be considered a reasonable regional top. So if you want to let me know, and we can try perhaps come up with a set standard of what is considered acceptable credentials in Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's pretty much all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed watching this Burning Abyss player get smashed like while I was talking, just like random stuff I had on screen. And yeah, so it concludes the match, and that will conclude my discussion. Perfect timing. And yeah, thanks guys for watching as usual, and I'll see you next time.
Come, face me, give in to your pride.